What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another edition of RPO College Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jerome Jones. We got a special guest today, as you guys already know, my guy Jake Kevin. How you doing, Jacob?
Blessed to be here. Love being here talking football.
And we got my guy Ray in the building, Mister All-Time News, Mister. The man, the myth, the legend. But right now he's feeling like a king right now because he got Miami going crazy the last 2 days. So Ray, I already know how you feeling, but tell us how you feeling right now.
Talent wise, I'm feeling very good. Being the draft Nick that I am, I'm kind of I have no picks left, so it is what it is. So
True. That is definitely true, but you definitely made up for it. We're gonna get right into it. Today we're gonna be talking about offensive linemen. So speaking of offensive linemen, the Miami Dolphins just signed a big signing and getting an offensive lineman. So guys, I know this is not the NFL draft, but Ray's a big Miami fan, as you guys already know. Looking at our previous podcasts and things like that. Before we get to this, you do have a comment, Mr. James Little. Thanks. Says, "Hey fellas, what's up, James? Thanks for being in here. We do appreciate you." But Ray, real quick, Ray, let's talk some Miami real quick. You're the man of the hour. You're man of the few hours actually. Talk about how you feeling with the one, the pickup, and then two, the trade.
I love Teron Armstead, of course. Injuries are a little bit of a concern. I'm not going to lie about that. He has a little of a problem staying healthy for this full season. But I mean, it was when you look at having one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL for the last couple of years, it was moves that they needed to do. They needed to use some capital and some money and go out there and get some offensive line to help out. I mean, like, people don't understand, like, I am a Tua fan. Now, you know this, Jerome. I would have taken Justin Herbert before Tua just because of upside. But now that I have Tua, I have to make it work. And for the first time in 3 years, they're finally trying to make it work with Tua. I don't want to go down the rabbit hole, which is the Brian Flores fiasco that went on, but I've told you and I've told everybody who asked me, Brian Flores was fired because of his inability to hire offensive coordinators and offensive coaches and put a good product on the field more than any other reason. So I'm happy they did it. Getting Teron Armstead, Connor Williams, improving the left side of the offensive line is going to be big for them this year. I'm not exactly sure how the right side is going to shape out. I probably would move the right guard back to right tackle and use the Notre Dame kid at right guard, but we're going to see how we'll shake it out. But either way, I went from having one solid offensive lineman in Robert Hunt to at least having three good ones and hopefully a much better offensive line.
Definitely, I agree with you, Ray. And man, you must have been a great offseason. You got a new coach. You got a very fast team. We're gonna see how Miami does. I'm happy it's this year and not last year because the Eagles have your pick this year. So thank you for not doing this a year before. But anyway,
I mean,
let's get into the
honestly,
offense.
to get back to what I said before, Brian Flores would not allow stuff like this to happen. He wanted to hire his own offensive coaches, and he failed 4 offensive coordinators in 3 seasons, 5 offensive line coaches in 3 seasons speaks for itself. So,
Definitely. All right, let's get into our offensive lineman talk because we're gonna talk draft. That's what we're here for, and that's what you want to hear. So we're gonna talk offensive draft. Right now, we're gonna go to our top 5 offensive tackles in the draft. So these are the 5 guys that both Kevin and Mr. Ray thinks are the top 5 guys in this draft. Starting from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Obviously, you kind of gonna do their own rankings. So I'm gonna start with you, Kevin. Number 5. Who you got as your offensive tackle of this year?
So number 5 is really tough because I think he probably projects more to guard, but there's no one else I like enough to be number 5. So 5 will go Tyler Smith from Tulsa, 4 Trevor Penning from Northern Iowa, 3 Charles Cross, Mississippi State, 2 Ikem Ekwonu, North Carolina State, and then number 1 pretty easily for me, Evan Neal from Alabama.
All right, let's do one by one real quick. Your number 5 guy. Why do you have him at 5? And then we're gonna go right with his number 5 and see where y'all got different from there. Why do you have him at number 5?
Smith, because I think his potential is very good. I think he's kind of like Ekwonu from North Carolina State, who's gonna be a top 5 pick, in that they're both these nasty kind of raw run blockers. I think that, and he's also a good athlete. I think there's potential for him to move out the tackle because he's got enough length for it. But I would have him at guard early on in his career because his hands are kind of late right now. He's late a lot with his hands, and his feet just aren't. His pass sets just aren't there yet to be a tackle. But he has potential to kick out there eventually. But again, there just wasn't a guy I liked enough to put at 5 over the potential of him.
Right. Who do you have at your number 5, sir?
I have Nicola Petite from Ohio State. I'm having a little bit of a hard time with his name, but
you got it.
Okay. I mean, he's a good athlete. I love his lateral movement, moving up and down the offensive line. I think he's a good football player. I do agree with Jacob. I think that number 5 spot is a little bit tough. I actually have Tyler Smith as my sleeper.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get into that later, but I agree with Jacob right now. Maybe you use him at left guard and then move him over when he gets a little bit more. I think he just needs to get rid of some sloppy body fat, and then that will make him a better football player. So
yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Definitely. So we're gonna get to our number 4 guy. So Jacob, who's your number 4 guy? While your guys are doing that, it seems like my internet is being really slow, so I'm gonna try to fix that real quick. So I'm gonna jump off the screen for a second, but I'm gonna let you guys talk about your number 4, starting with Jacob and then Ray. So go ahead.
So I like Trevor Penning from Northern Iowa. I think there is a drop off for me after the top 3 when it comes to Penning. I don't know if I like Penning as much as I liked Spencer Brown last year, honestly, or at least I view them kind of the same. I like his mentality a lot. I do. I think he's a very good athlete for his size, but there's just a couple of things that I really want him to really clean up. He's very good at moving in space, but he's not good at all at connecting with people on the second level. Like, it's kind of frustrating seeing him miss linebackers, and I think he plays a bit too high, which, I mean, he's like 6'7". He's going to play high. I just want him to stop giving up the corner as much, but he's a good player. Like, he's as much criticism as I can give him. He's still a good player, and it makes sense why he's going in the first round. What are you thinking here, Ryan?
I agree with everything you just said, basically, Jacob. I like Penning. I have him at my number 4 too, so I'll start with that. I think that he is aggressive along the offensive line with taking out offensive linemen, but when you do see him try to get to that second level, which is not a strength for him, but I think if you put him at right tackle right now, he's a plug-and-play type of a kid. He reminds me a lot of John Runyon. Plays with an edge, he got nice size arms. He's a good football player. I do think he's a little bit scheme-specific where if you're a running team, you're going to love him. If you want him to pass protect, in the beginning, it's going to be a little bit hard because he is going to have a hard time picking up that secondary blitzer from that outside. It's not going to be a strength for him right away. So,
yeah, I agree.
All right, number 3. Start with you now, Ray, on this one. Who's your number 3 guy? Then we go to Jacob. Number 3, sorry.
I have Akeem Ekwonu from North NC State.
Yeah.
I have seen a lot of people who think that he should play guard. I do think he could be a guard, but I think if you play him at tackle, he has nice arm length and is a good athlete. So I have him at number 3. My second and third guy, I could like move him back and forth either way I wanted to.
Yeah.
But either way, it's not a great tackle class, but it's good at the top end. And then it falls off a lot after the first few guys.
Definitely does.
Yeah. So, but again, I think
Kevin,
me
who you
and
got number
Jacob, from what Jacob said, our top 5 are very similar. So
Definitely.
always
Yeah,
good.
because I have Aquanu at 2, but I had Charles Cross at 3. I think that Cross's pass protection, I'm assuming you're going to be talking about him.
I will be.
Because I'm pretty sure you identified Cross before the season as someone you really liked as well.
Correct.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Ray?
No, I think that that's where I think Charles Cross coming into the season was a little bit higher ranked, and that's why I kind of left him at 2. So
Yeah, I think he got better this year they don't let him run block that much in that system, but I think he was a lot more aggressive in space. It's just I watch him pass block and it's beautiful. The way that he's able to react to counters with his feet, like there's nothing more frustrating than watching a guy with good feet stop moving where they'll stop and then lunge. I've yet to see Cross do it at all. He keeps his feet moving at all times, and I know Duke's been working with him, and it's just he's probably the best pure pass protector in this draft. Maybe him and number 1 with Neal. He has an argument with that, but again, he's just the type of if you're gonna pass the ball a lot, he's going to protect your blind side really well. I really like Cross.
yeah, I like both of them guys also. I'm sorry, Jerome, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, I was going to – go ahead.
No, I agree with everything Jacob just said. I think that Aquanu is going to be a good pass protector. He has great – his arm length was better than I thought, only because you don't see him lunge at guys. He always keeps his feet underneath of him, and his technique is perfectly sound, and that's why I'm a fan.
Yeah, definitely. That's why I love Cross too. It's just like everything that you want to teach new offensive linemen. This is how you play tackle. You show them his film.
Mm-hmm.
And Ray, I'm assuming that number 2 you have Cross at that spot. Am I correct?
do. I have Charles Cross at number 2. Again, I kind of go back to he was my preseason number 2. And he really has not done anything to really fall from that spot. Even though I do like Aquanu's arm length a little more, and I think his feet are probably a little bit better than Cross, but I think Cross will be a good football player. So, like I said before, I think if you look at the top 4 or 5 guys, they're all good football players, and then it drops off a little bit after that.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, Jacob, you got Aquanu at number 2. Why do you have him over Cross?
I just think that the potential there is a little bit better. And mind you, this is splitting hairs because my top 50 big board that I'm working on, Aquanu is my number 4 overall player, and Charles Cross is my number 5 overall player. So it's minuscule differences because I just think that Aquanu's run blocking is just at a better stage than Cross is right now, and I just think that the potential he has incredible potential, but it's splitting hairs, man.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Agreed.
Well, obviously, both of you guys have number 1 guy as Evan Neal, and as a tradition, I always like to throw up this picture of myself, who is 6 foot tall, next to Evan Neal. And at the time in high school, it should show up soon. That's me and Evan Neal. He was probably about 6'4", and this man is 6'7" now. So this man's a massive guy. So Kevin, I'm sorry for you on this one. Why is he your clear-cut number 1 guy over everybody else?
Yeah, so he's my number 2 overall player, regardless of position. It's just the athleticism, the size, the fact that he's closer to 6'8" than he is 6'6", and he's a fantastic mover laterally. Um, the power's there. He's the type of guy that's absolutely bullying D tackles. Um, it's really hard to find players who gave him trouble this past season because even when they were playing Georgia and the line was getting beat up, it wasn't coming from the left side. You know, he got beat once or twice by Walker, who's who's a very good player, but he's done his own against them. Texas A&M, you know, they've played the best teams in the country, and he's been fantastic on an offensive line that hasn't been the same this year. So I think he's probably the best pro-ready all-around tackle there, and his potential's through the roof. We're talking about a guy who's an insane athlete at like 6'7".
Yeah, I mean everything
see how big he got from that picture to what it is now. It's just insane.
Yeah.
Like he just like I would have thought he would have at least peak height. No, he grew like 3 more inches since high school. Ray, why is he your number one cut guy in that position?
Everything Jacob just said. He's probably, if not the second best player in the draft, if no lower than the third best player in the draft.
Yeah.
I mean, he has everything. He's huge. He's got great arm length. He's a good athlete. I honestly believe that if Jacksonville was smart, he'll be the first pick in the draft. So
I agree, but they're not. So
they're not.
No, they're not, and they keep franchise tagging Cam Robinson, thinking, "Hey, this is going to." Which is funny because even if they want to play him, I just put Neal at right tackle and have a fantastic right tackle. But hey, teams don't want to help out their quarterbacks. You know, they like to fail by them. What are you gonna do though?
Let's face it, man. We know why that is because they think everybody should be Aaron Rodgers, or or one of them guys that kind of cover up for them. Then efficiencies on your offensive line. But no, man, it starts up front. And the quarterback, I don't care if it's who your quarterback is. If you can't block for him, he's not going to be successful. He'll put up numbers, and he'll probably even win a decent amount of games. But when the playoffs come and you're playing against the best teams, that's when you'll see where there's a problem.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't ask Derek Carr what he feels about or David Carr, how he feels about offensive line. Let's get to our offensive line sleepers though. Let's get right into that. So sleepers are some guys that not a lot of people are talking about that you guys think are really incredible linemen. And let's get right into it. I'm gonna start with you, Ray. Who is your number one sleeper in this draft?
Well, I have 2 sleeper tackles. I'm going to give you both of them.
Okay.
And one is Tyler Smith, who we talked about briefly from Tulsa, 6'6", 330 pounds. I think if he gets down closer to 310 or 315, you'll see him play at a better body weight and be a better football player. But I also love Sean Ryan from UCLA. I think he may be a guy who maybe had the bump inside, and his arms are a little short, not quite 33 inches long, but he's such a good athlete. He moves so well that I think that you could put him at tackle right now and do a solid job for you. So,
all right, now, Captain, who you have as your sleeper, sir?
So I will definitely talk about Sean Ryan coming up later. There's 2 guys that I want to point out. I'd like to give a quick look at Tulsa's other lineman, Chris Paul. I think he's going to be best at guard, but he has good proportional length, so I wonder if a team tries him out there, but I think he'll be a pretty dang good guard, even though he missed out on my interior line list. I think the sleeper I'll give is he's starting to become not much of a sleeper, but Abe Lucas from Washington State. He was someone that impressed me a bit at the Senior Bowl. His run blocking was more than I thought it was going to be, which was good because I thought there was another step that he could take with his run blocking in college, and he seemed to do that at the Senior Bowl. Another big guy, good athlete. It's hard because I don't really love this tackle class outside of the really top 4. and some of the guys that I would like to, like Bernard Ryman, most years would be a great sleeper, but they're talking about him being like a top 32, first round pick, and so that's not really a sleeper.
Definitely. All right, let's get from our sleepers to small schoolers. So we got the small school listers. These are guys that are from small schools but might have some high potential that, again, nobody might not know about them because they're from small schools. So, Jacob, we can start with you with this one. Your favorite small school tackle in this draft?
So sadly, I have not been able to watch a ton of his film because he's, again, small school guys are a little bit hard to get film on. But just going from what I saw in person, Matt Valesco from North Dakota, he was a guy that really, when you have small school guys at the Senior Bowl, and this is why I love the Senior Bowl, because they get these smaller school guys and really give them a chance to show out. Sometimes it doesn't work and they look like fish out of water, but in terms of Valesco, he was right there, the athleticism that he showed at the combine, because I'm pretty sure he's one of the most athletic guys that tested, was there. He was able to keep up with faster defenders. So I'm intrigued to see what he's going to be. I know a couple of people that have watched this film like him, so he's definitely one to watch.
Hey, Ray?
Well, I have two guys.
Oh, here we go.
And,
of course.
and I have Valesco too, so I won't go too far into it.
Okay, there you go.
Jacob covered it pretty good. I think he's a lean, athletic guy who is actually a better football player than people think. I think that, but that's the thing. Like, you're talking about a sleeper kid, and we're talking about a tackle class that isn't that great. So he is going to be a guy who has to develop. He's 6'7", but he only weighs about 300 pounds. If he were 315 or 320, I think he'd be a better football player. Okay. So that's going to be down the road a little bit. But I also have Braxton Jones from South Utah.
Yeah.
Another kid who, like Jacob said, it is hard to get game film on these guys. So what I do when I evaluate players, what I do is I go to their worst games statistically, their best games statistically, and the best three teams that they played against. Mm-hmm. That usually gives me a decent barometer of what I think they could be. So
he was the other guy that I was considering for that.
That was why, Jake. That was why I gave two, because I had a hard time putting one in there and not the other because I like them both.
Yeah,
so
Jones tested incredibly well at the combine.
He did.
I always, if I'm looking at guys that aren't going in the first or the first couple rounds, I'm looking to draft athletes. It's kind of a mentality that Philly's had, where you try to draft athletes that have traits and you develop them. But Braxton Jones has massive arms, so it's not just the athleticism. He has massive arms. So that really helps him getting hands on defensive linemen first, not letting them separate. So we saw that in Mobile. His arms are massive, man.
I think the only thing that's going to be a problem for him is when he gets some speed rushes and have some raw power out there. That's going to be a little bit of a problem. Again, he's 6'7", he's 310, which is solid, but at 320 with a little bit more body strength, I think he'll be a better football player. So
yeah.
All right, let's get to our top 5 interior offensive linemen now. So we got the guys that are going to be inside. This includes guards. It's going to include centers. Who you guys think are going to be your top 5 on this one? So, Kevin, just your number 5. Who you got right there? Your number 5 right there.
This one's really tough because I think interior line is better than tackle this year. I'm going to go with Ed Ingram here from LSU. I know I keep going with Senior Bowl standouts, but the player that we saw absolutely kicking butts at the Senior Bowl is the same guy he is on film. Gritty type of lineman, gets hands on, drives people back. I'm a big fan of Ed Ingram, and I think he's a plug and play guard that just immediately helps your run game.
Ray, number 5?
I had Ed Ingram at number 5 also.
Yeah.
I agree with Jacob. I think the kid is a mauler with really good feet and a really good football player. And like Jacob had said, the interior line class here is really strong. I'm glad to see that Miami does have 1 third-round pick because that's what I want. I want an interior guy that I could add to maybe move either play at guard or at center and then see what we can do with that position because I like 3 of my 5 positions right now. I just need to find the center to add to the mix or somebody could play in the interior to add to the mix of guys, and then I'll like my offensive line even better. So,
Nice. All right, let's get to number 4. Ray, I'm gonna start with you on this one. Who's your number 4 guy?
Okay, my number 4 guy is Zion Johnson from Boston College.
Interesting.
I am a big fan of him. I think that he's more of a second-round talent, but I think that he may wind up going the end of the first. I think if Miami had the 29th pick with them hiring the Boston College coach as their offensive line coach, he would have been a shoo-in to go to Miami at 29. But now that they don't have that pick, I still think he's a good football player. I think he's more of a day 2 pick, early second round, though.
All right, Captain, who you got number 4?
Number 4, I said I was going to get to him, but Sean Ryan. I think he's someone that can play tackle. I just look at him and I see, hey, this guy could be a really good guard right away, too. Just besides the smaller arm length, I just think that with his athleticism and having a guy that can pass protect inside like he can, because he's if you watch in 2020, he handled Kayvon Thibodeau pretty well. He's just he's a very good talent. I think he's a second round guy and could potentially be like Zion Johnson, a guy that goes right at the back end of the first, if someone like Cincinnati wants a guard like him. Yeah, so I like Sean. He's a very good player, whether he's at tackle or guard. Very good player.
I am a big Sean Ryan fan. I think in a zone read where you want your guards to move and get out there and block on the edges, I think that is something he can probably do very well.
Yeah.
But I do think he's a good enough athlete to play tackle. And the weird thing about guys that have played tackle, they kind of like to stay there because that's where the money usually is. So
that is true. Yeah, I just think that I don't know. I don't want to compare him to Elijah Vera Tucker because I think Vera Tucker was better. Because Vera Tucker was very good for the Jets too. But I think he's in a similar type of mold as Vera Tucker, where you just look at him and say, "Yep, that's a very solid player."
I agree. I think that especially how quick his feet move, I can see the comparison to Vera Tucker actually a lot. I think Vera Tucker had a little bit longer arms though.
Yeah, because if I'm looking at my sheet here, Sean Ryan only has
32.5 inch.
Yeah, it's a little bit under a half. Yeah,
something like that.
Yep, they're only like 32 and 1/4. So,
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's not great arm length, but
again, though, the interior offensive line class is awesome.
There are about 4 or 5 guys that I think could be number 5 for me. Like that second, third round is the time to get an offensive lineman, as long as they're inside.
Yes, sir. It's a very good interior line class. So.
Definitely. All right, awesome. So let's get to our number 3 guys. If you guys haven't already done so, again, I apologize for some serious internet issues right now. But Ray, who you got at number 3?
At number 3, I have. Let me find that. I have Tyler Linderbaum from Iowa.
Interesting.
Who was a center, who I think again, is probably the only center to me that is a first round talent.
Yeah.
If he is there for the Eagles somewhere in that first middle to end of the first round, I can see them because they like athletic centers that get out on the edge and move. Miami, I would love for Miami to get him, but that's not going to happen. I would have loved for that to happen to add to the center mix. But I am a huge fan of him. He's been the best, center in college football for 2 years now. So,
Very interesting. You have him at number 3. We'll see who you got on top over him in this draft. Captain, who you have at number 3, sir?
Number 3, I have Zion Johnson. again, he is my first second round grade, like the very first second round grade. I think he's going to be a very good pass protecting guard. There's just a little bit more that I want from him. Like he's a very good player, but I wouldn't call him like elite. But pretty much all the points Ray made, he's just a very good, solid player. That's going to be he's a plug and play starter that has fantastic arm length for an interior lineman too. Yeah, because he has like 34-inch arms, so he's going to be able to get the hands on defenders first. And he was also fantastic down in Mobile too. Very athletic, good hands. I just like a little bit more power at the point of attack, just a little bit more, like just a smidgen more.
Yeah, I agree with that 100% also, Jacob. I think that I have seen some teams that maybe would try to move him to center.
It's very interesting, and it makes sense because the center class isn't great. I don't even know who the second best center is after Linderbaum. It's going to be some guy.
Tell you that I like Alec Lindstrom from Boston College. I had him just outside my interior lineman. I have him at like 7 or 8.
Yeah.
I don't have him. I didn't have him in my top 5, obviously, but I do like his tenacity.
Yeah.
He plays with grit and plays with effort. I could see him if you run a power-based offense as your center. I could see him in that type of an offense. So.
Yeah, like I said, besides him, maybe a Fortner, but they're going to try converting some guys over.
They are.
All right, Captain, I'm gonna jump to you at number 2. Who you had at number 2? Because I'm very curious what Ray got. So I'm gonna save his for last.
This is where I do have Tyler Linderbaum, which is funny because if you remember before the season, it was blasphemous for me to not have Linderbaum at 1. But you watch him, right? If you're an inside zone team, yes, fantastic player. You know what I mean? Like if you need someone who's going to reach block, isn't really going to he's not someone I really want isolated in 1v1s that much with defensive tackles. In a right scheme for him, he can be as highly ranked as you want. It's just I don't know if he has the scheme versatility. There's some holes in his game. He is like a 290-pound center. There's going to be some big nose tackles that are always going to be a problem with him. And I saw when they played against Wisconsin, I believe, guys like Leo Chenal gave him a bit of trouble, So I don't think he's the perfect. That's why, again, he's still a very good player, definitely a first-round player. But that's what kind of keeps me away from. He's not. People want to say that he's like this year's Quentin Nelson of centers. He's not. You know what I mean? People forget. People always say that. People forget Quentin Nelson won every single snap pretty much in college. So that's the standard. It's just Linderbaum's kind of like here. But if you're a team that likes agile centers that'll get out on the moves, use them in screens and stuff like that, he's going to be very good. It's just that versatility's not there.
I think that I compare him to Travis Kelce in the fact that his arms are a little short. But if you get him out there and don't make him reach for guys, he's going to be very, very good. But again, there are some limitations. Some guys will bull rush him and get by him.
Definitely.
Or push him back into the quarterback's lap a little bit. That's why if you're going to find times where if you have that big, bulky nose tackle or a guy who plays a really strong 1 or 3 tech, you're going to have to double team with Linderbaum. And that's why I think he's a good football player, but he is scheme specific without a doubt. So
even as good as Jason Kelce is, potential, I think we all want to say Hall of Fame talent, but you never know with the Hall, you know what I mean? Especially
and like if you remember, Kelce, has played really good football for the Eagles, but there always was that complaint against bigger guys in the center.
That's exactly
struggle against them guys sometimes.
Whenever we would play someone whenever we play the Titans and we went up against a guy like Jarrell Casey,
correct?
Or recently going up against the Bucks with Vita Vea. It's those type of guys. It's 96-7% of the time Jason Kelce is going to be great for you, but there's just going to be that couple of guys. Those couple of Jordan Davis type guys who are going to take it to him, But other than that, Linderbaum's going to be very good. But, it's just going to be that couple guys that get him.
Yep. Agreed.
All right, let's. We're
Kevin, you
dying to
just
see
had to
who
get your
number
Jordan
2 is.
Davis mention.
Listen,
you just had to get your Jordan Davis mention, right?
future Eagle Jordan Davis, yeah.
Anyway,
We've been
this is
grilling this
another
in the chat.
podcast.
Is he going to play 30% of snaps for Eagles too?
Hey man, maybe, but he'll be great. There's
Thank you,
30%
Ray.
of
Thank you,
snaps.
Ray.
It was
Thank you,
39%. All right.
Oh, sorry,
39.
39%. Okay.
39.
I'm sorry, 39%.
We here.
Don't get it wrong.
Ray, we're here. We're here right now.
I got you.
All right.
I got.
Ray,
I
who's
see.
your-
I
who's
see.
your
I see
number
the
two
emblem
guy?
there. I see the emblem there. I'm good, Jerome. I got you.
Yeah. All right, let's get to your number 2 guy, Ray. Who you got?
Yeah, let's see.
Well, here is where I had Dorian Kennard, the guy who played right tackle for Kentucky. I have him converting into an interior offensive lineman. I think if you put him at right guard or left guard, you're going to get a dominant road grading type player who has been a good tackle for Kentucky. He's played good football. And here's the thing: like if you're a team like Tennessee, who wants to get the tackle out there and just push people around, or a team like that, you could even use him at tackle. But I think if you put Kennard at guard, you have a dominant football player. So I have him at guard.
Yeah, Jacob, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Jacob, if I'm not mistaken, Kennard was kicked in guard at the Senior Bowl, right?
Yeah, he was, and it had pretty good results. Something I don't know. He didn't stand out completely at the Senior Bowl, mind you. First day or two, he was going up against Jermaine Johnson a couple times, and no one could stop him there.
No,
no one can stop him there.
No, I can't wait to talk about the edge class on defense.
Oh yeah, definitely. But
absolutely,
I like Darian Kennard. He's my number 6 or 7 interior offensive lineman, just because I typically, which is funny because I'm going to throw this out the window with my number 1, but I like athleticism a lot in my linemen, and Kennard's definitely not the best of athletes, but I'm going to throw that out the window with my number 1. So
I do agree with that. Right. I don't think he has great feet movement, but he has really good balance.
He does.
And of course, he is a huge man. So
yeah, I got him as a day 2 guy. I do like him.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now that you mentioned your number 1 guy, you might as well reveal him right now, Kevin. Who you got at number 1?
I have Kenyon Green from Texas A&M. For a lot of the same reasons that Ray really likes Darian Kennard, I really like Kenyon Green. They pretty much Texas A&M. All you have to do is run behind Green, and he's going to clear a lane. This is a guy who's played guard. He's played left tackle. They've put him out at right tackle, and he's held his own every single position they've put him out in. He might not be the best combine testing athlete, but on the field, functionally, he's a very good athlete. He's good in a phone booth, has good feet. Again, the power and the nastiness is just there from him. And I've seen plays where he's completely destroyed defenders without even trying, accidentally running into them, and they just go flying. So he's very good, man. The fact that he kicked out the tackle and was still really good, I wouldn't play him there at the next level, but just that versatility is really nice. And I do know a team that loves versatile linemen who love guys who are tackles that play him at guard, and they have 3 first-round picks. Just saying. It's a bigger need than center. Just saying.
I don't like what you're doing with our Eagles, Captain. I don't like what you're doing with us.
I listen, man. We're getting big, nasty guys up front.
All right, Ray. Reveal your number 1 guy. Who you got?
I have Kenyon Green from Texas A&M also. I think that everything Jacob just said was spot on, man. The kid is just mean. He's nasty. He's got good feet. He's got great balance. Mm-hmm. And I remember going into last year and thinking, wow, who's that kid for Texas A&M? And I studied him more. And then going into the season, I saw everything that I thought I saw last year. The kid is a stud, man. And if the Eagles were lucky enough to get him in the first round, that would be a great pick. So
just saying. I'm just saying. put him right at right guard.
Yep. I mean,
I'm
Texas
not
A&M.
going to go on my Eagles tangent right
You know, we're used to that, Jerome. We get one of them every week usually. So you know, you should hear the conversations we have after the podcast, Jacob.
Yeah. Oh no, he's frozen.
Yeah, we usually stay on for like an hour, sometimes an hour and a half, talking on Eagles, Miami, football all day. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, let's
Yep,
get to our next segment right here, the interior sleepers. Let's do the interior sleepers right now. So, guys, these are guys that are going to be sleeper guys that nobody's really talking about that you guys think are going to be great guys. And Ray, I'm going to start with you.
Well, I have three, so I'm going to try to get through them really quickly, okay, man? I got Cade Mays from Tennessee. I got Cameron Jurgens from Nebraska. And I have Jasa Uzudu from North Carolina. Uzudu was a guy who I really liked that people sleeping on a little bit because North Carolina's offensive line was not good except for Uzudu. Uzudu was really good this year and was the only reason why the quarterback could do anything. Cameron Jurgens from Nebraska, if you want a guy who can play center, who can just maul guys, that's your guy. And I like Cade Mays because I like his versatility. I think he can play center or guard for you and be a really good football player. So,
yeah.
Like how quick I went through them, Jerome?
I like it. All right. Yeah. So I was hoping he wasn't going to take the whole rest of the podcast. Captain, who you got?
I was thinking about
sleeper, it, sir. I know.
So I really like that Jurgens pick there. I don't know if he technically counts as a sleeper, but I really like Dylan Parham from Memphis. No longer 285, and he's played everywhere. I mean, we're talking about a guy that's played guard. We're talking about a guy who's played right tackle. At the Senior Bowl, he looked good at center. And I think he might be, of all the guys they're trying to convert inside, the most natural center because the way he's able to reach block is really good. His intelligence is there. Another guy who potentially could be a center, and this is a very rare conversion that you see, but I'm pretty sure he's in this class, but Zach Tom from Wake Forest. He played left tackle this past year, but he started a full season at center. So that's someone. He's someone I'm looking at.
I was kind of I want him in the third round, man.
So I like Zach. I've been Zach Tom's a guy to watch out for with that versatility, man. Again, with not many centers in this draft, he's a guy that can kick back in inside and trying to see real quick. He was also tested really good too, might I add. I was just trying to bring up his numbers. Besides testing in a little, measuring a little small, he was an elite athlete in every single measurement. As a tackle, might I add. As a tackle, he measured in impeccably. So he goes back inside. I mean, he's a 10 as an athlete. Just saying. What have I always said? Draft athletes with traits. And if you have a good offensive line coach, he can mold them.
Yeah, unless her name is Austin Jackson.
Well, no, Austin Jackson. We're talking about mid-round guys, which Austin Jackson should have been. Austin
that's the point, though. That's why.
You know what I mean? Austin Jackson was a mid-round guy picked in the first.
You know what, Jacob? Not to beat a dead horse, man. When they picked him with the 18th pick, I wanted to break my TV, man. I did, and I have a big screen TV, so I couldn't do it. But if I had a little portable one like I used to have, I'd have broke it that way. I'm like, Austin, who?
You're telling me, man. I was at my dad's when we made the Jalen Reagor pick, so I had to take it out on my phone instead. Oh no, we lost him again. Oh, he's back.
Jerome, you need to move out of Atlanta, man. What are you doing now?
Right. Come on.
Atlanta, man. I don't know. It's hot down here. It's humid. I don't know. And that's not working. It's a problem. It's a problem. All right, let's get to our small school guys try to get the attention off of me a little bit. Get the small school guys up in here. Jacob, who you have as a small school guy that you think is gonna flourished in this draft?
Small school guy. I don't know if there is anyone that I.
You should have kept Parham for
Yeah,
small
I guess
school.
I should have,
You
man.
should have, man. See that?
No! I got my guy. Cole Strange.
Now you're
There you
annoying
go.
me even more.
Cole Strange Cole Strange, man. I remember talking to him at the Senior Bowl because we did the pop interviews with him, and in nicer terms, he pretty much said football is the only place you could be a big meanie and get applauded for it. So, and he has that mentality, and he tested out of this world. And watching his game against Kentucky, how fast he gets out for screens, it's there. Now he has a lot of experience because I'm pretty sure he was like a 6-year senior, either a 5th or 6-year senior. So he's an older prospect, but very good athlete, nasty mauler mentality. And again, he's got the Southern lineman mentality. You can't go wrong with that.
All right, Ray, who's your small school guy?
Well, Jacob just talked about both of them. I'm a little annoyed right now, to be honest with you. I had Dylan Parham from Memphis and Cole Strange from Chattanooga. They're both everything Jacob just said about them. I really like them both. And I could have put them as my sleeper, but I wanted to save them for the small school, man.
Oh, my bad.
You only have so many of them guys, man. Come on.
I didn't have that many good sleepers. My bad.
Okay, I got you. But
Yeah, Jacob,
again, we talked about the interior line class this year. If you need an interior lineman, you're going to get one through every round probably if you really do your homework.
Yeah, because you can get you still at the end in the later rounds could get Schaefer from Georgia or Stuber from Michigan, maybe Smith from Virginia Tech. I don't know how high he's going to go now because he kind of tested pretty badly from what I remember, but Thayer Munford has experience.
Mm-hmm.
There's guys in this draft.
There's a lot of guys in this class. Thank God, because that's I think I have a 3rd round pick and a 4th round pick and a 6th round pick, and that's it now. I traded everything. Oh no, I'm sorry, a 3rd, a 5th, and a 7th, or a 3rd, a 6th, and a 7th.
Hey,
traded all my picks away, man. Yeah, I
sure?
traded all my picks away, dude. Traded my 1st, my 2nd, my 4th from this year, and my 5th and 6th from next year, or something along them lines. But I did get Hill, so I mean.
Yeah, that's got to be nice.
What are you going to do, man?
Having good
speed to burn, man.
Having good receivers is fun.
Yeah, Jalen Waddle, the 4.35 is going to be slow.
That's funny.
Isn't that nice to have good receivers?
Imagine that.
Wouldn't that be nice? It's a good. Hey, we've taken a receiver in the top 2 rounds in the past 3 drafts.
Yeah, and last year you finally got the right one. Good for you.
Yeah, it's almost like picking an obvious good player.
In the last 5 drafts, it's been 2 firsts, 1 second, something crazy like
3,
that. 3 firsts. 3 firsts. I'm sorry, 3 firsts.
3 firsts.
Weren't you telling me yesterday that Howie Roseman's your favorite GM of all time?
Yeah, that sounds just like me, right? Yeah, Howard Roseman over there re-signing himself because
It's funny though, dude. I don't know how much he's responsible for the picks. You don't really know. Jordan Mailata may be his best pick in the last 5 years.
Yeah,
I agree.
Probably.
I agree. He got an excellent offensive line coach, though.
He does.
Draft athletes.
That's what annoys me with NFL teams in general, not just Howie Roseman. Sometimes they just try to be smarter than everybody else, man. Just do your homework and make the right pick.
That's what they're doing right now by taking guys I can't even disrespect Pascal because we signed him for pennies, and it's
I like the signing.
Maybe he keeps Jalen Reagor off the field, but it just seems seems like us.
My biggest thing about Pascal was his injury history, though. That's the biggest thing about him.
But he is a nice player. I like him. I like him a lot, actually. You don't have to worry about Jalen Reagor will keep Jalen Reagor off the field. Okay.
Will he? Because Howie just I don't know, man. Like, they're going to outsmart themselves and say, hey, we don't need a linebacker because we like Davion Taylor. We don't need a safety because we like Marcus Epps. We don't need I can't even say guard because Jack Driscoll can play. But we don't need a running back because we like, I don't know, Jordan Howard. Like, we love doing
How's
this
everyone on the
stuff.
team right now?
We'll get him back, I guess. We'll bring him back.
Yeah, we'll see. For like the third stint. All right, let's get to from dream of the Eagles picks to our dream offensive lineman. Like a segue. Anyway, so each one of you guys are gonna pick 3 offensive linemen, which you would love to have a dream fit for them, right? I know. I'm sorry, it might not be your dream right now because you traded away all your picks, but you can pick some three other teams maybe and pick some dream picks for them. So I'm gonna start with Kevin. Who are you gonna have pick 3 teams and their dream draft as an offensive lineman picks for them that will fit perfectly?
So my first one's pretty easy for me. I just think that Darian Kennard fits what the Ravens do so well. For a team that runs the ball so much, if there's any team that he could stick out at tackle, if he could stay at tackle for any team, it could possibly be them or like the Titans. You know what I mean? So I'll give it 2 for Darian Kennard. I don't know if he's going to be there for but I like Zion Johnson for the Bengals. I still think the Bengals need help on that interior line. Yes, they've added some guys, but I don't think Jackson Carman fits their scheme at all, and I don't think he's that great either. And I don't even know who their center is. And we will trying to think of who. You know what? We'll cop out and say, hey, Evan Neal first overall to the Jaguars because I just think that's the most obvious pick in this draft, and they just won't do it because they want the second or third best pass rusher. Because they want the second or third best pass rusher. Yeah, edge is going to be a fun one.
I kind of like what Jacob just said, though. I do. But I would go Trevor Penning, and I would go either Tennessee or Baltimore. I kind of fits the same thing as Kennard.
Mm-hmm.
The guy to get out there and maul people out in the thing. I am going to give the Eagles Tyler Linderbaum to take over for Travis Kelce after he finally retires. I think that's a great spot. I think it would be a great pick for them. It would be a pick that, you'd have to think like long, like down the road because Travis Kelce keeps retiring and unretiring. I'm trying to lose focus on who's retired more, him or Tom Brady, the last 3 months. But either way, I think if they get a Linderbaum to take over for him, I think that would be a great move. And I'm going to say, Alec Lindstrom for Miami later in the draft. I think that would be a great spot. Again, the Boston College offensive line coach is with the Dolphins now. I think Lindstrom could be a guy who would know his system already and go in there and give Miami at least quality backup, if nothing else there.
Yeah.
Ray, you're so predictable.
I know. I always am. There's something good about predictability, right?
All right. Well, guys,
I'm going to be honest with you. I only care about so many teams, and most of them are wearing aqua and orange. Okay, brother?
Yeah.
Rightfully so. I mean, you got a reason to be happy right now. I can't even knock.
I do, man. Right. My offense went from a D to a B plus in 2 months.
I wouldn't have said a D, right? But yeah, I
mean, horrible offensive line. One wide receiver, tight end they don't know how to use. How is that not a D?
The worst offensive line in the league,
Right, the worst offensive line in the league. One quality receiver and a tight end they don't know how to use.
Only could run RPOs.
And I went one game from being in the playoffs as well. I'm just saying.
Well,
good for them. Yeah. Good for them. I'm glad about that. One game from being in the playoffs.
I mean, you can say the same thing about the Eagles.
Yeah, but
they did make the playoffs, though.
Yeah, but the thing is, the Eagles didn't get better this offseason, and they're going to get hit by regression because we're trying to be smarter than everyone else.
I'm not going to say that out loud. I'm not hoping for that, but
I shouldn't be slandering the team because I'm supposed to, I'll tell you all later why I shouldn't be, but yeah, I'm dumb, but
not only that, like in Miami, I went from having a bunch of offensive coaches that didn't have no clue. I mean, honestly, man, we all love football, but when I see a team that has offensive coaches that were in high school before Miami hired them, what am I supposed to think? I mean, I don't think man. All kidding aside, Brian Flores thought he was the smartest room in the room, or the smartest guy in the room on both sides of the ball, and all he is a defensive coach. Sorry.
He's kind of like from the way you described it, it's almost like how Doug Peterson was fired. Maybe not because he wasn't the best coach or a bad coach, but he just added bad hires to his team. Like, because Doug lived and died by some terrible coordinators like Press Taylor and stuff like that. Like Bro was there for the longest, So it might be that's kind of why, because Doug wanted to hire from within, and they said, "Nope, you're
I think that is a great comparison, though.
Without a Super Bowl, yeah.
I think no, and I like Doug Peterson. I think Doug Peterson is a good coach.
Yeah,
but I do agree with the fact that he wanted to keep his guys in place was probably the thing that pushed him out the door the most.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so
definitely.
I know Jerome's
well, guys,
we're talking way too much about the NFL right now, but it's all good.
It's a dark and weird, sad time for me and as an Eagles fan, and I'm very nervous because the only thing we got going for us is the draft. And
we just had a dinner.
One person that I don't trust in the draft is going to be drafting.
You did
our
what?
First, so
we just had
very nervous.
We just had a. I think your quarterback's coach just had a dinner with Kenny Pickett.
Oh, what? Anyway, that's gonna that's gonna do it for today, guys. On the RPO podcast.
Kenny Smallheads.
That's gonna do it for us today on the RPO. See, I can't even talk. That's gonna do it for us on the RPO podcast. I'm so mad that you're talking about this right now. I'm not gonna go for today, guys. Make sure you check us out on all social media.
My hands are bigger than his.
Mine aren't.
InsideTheHashes.com. Where you can find all our content. Find us on all social media. Inside the Hashes on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Also, you find us on all our podcast platforms where you can find all our player interviews. A lot of players that we interview and a lot of players that we talked about today be interviewed. So make sure you go check that out on Inside the Hashes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or any other podcast platform that you like as well. And make sure you go on our YouTube channel where we are live right now. Make sure you go in there and, so when we are live, hit that notification bell so you can know when we're live, because you go in and you can be giving us your questions like our guy, James, from earlier. Thank you, James, for being on with us. But if you can't hit the go live, hit the notification bell. You can see when we go on, and you can go on the replay game. Replay, watch it later, and then put your comment in there. We will we do comment back on anything that you put in there. So if you have any questions or anything like that, put it on our YouTube channel, subscribe, like on there as well. So thank you guys once again. I'm your humble host, Jerome Jones. We got Jacob Keppen. Thank you again for getting on, Jacob. You got the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Ray Roberts. Highlight of the week, Mr. Ray Roberts. He's glowing right now. That's not a light on top of his head. That's him glowing, bro. So guys, thank you so much for being on here.
Way too much next
And I hope you have a good week. We'll see you again next week where we talk about defensive line. Stay locked in. Have a good night and stay safe. Peace.